let's go, Casino, over to college football. Week 1. We didn't really preview it because we've been focused on so much of the NFL, but we want to start getting into other sports, just topic wise. I know we have in the past, and then we kind of came back. It was all NFL, but that doesn't mean we left out college football. We just didn't do a preview.
And we will get in touch on. We just got to get back into the swing of things when it came to sports. We were, gone for a bit. We weren't feeling it again. We had to figure out our lives. But we will get into like the baseball, the NBA, the hockey coming up. Which quick sad note was respects to Johnny Gaudreau's family and friends and all of the teammates that he's played with. So if you didn't hear about that story, one very famous hockey player picked up in the 4th round against the Flames years ago. Him and his brother were bike riding the other night, and they got hit by a. Did we already talk about this Johnny Gaudreau story? I think so. Did we talk about the Johnny Gaudreau story? Oh, he's coming back. We talked about Johnny Gaudreau, right?
Not on the show. No,
not on the show.
You and I talked about it on the phone.
But yeah, so him and his brother, they got hit by a drunk driver. So don't drink and drive, please. Truly, just don't. There's so many services out there. But yeah, him and his brother were killed, and it was the day before their sister's wedding. So like the story is one of the most horrific sports stories I've heard in a very long time. Just like every aspect of it. And he has like 2 kids, like under age of 3. Like it was just all in all horrible. So, prayers go out to his family and all of his friends. And
that was
just wanted to throw it out there, talking about hockey there quick. But we are going to start getting into all of our sports, especially coming into October now, when everything's going to be awesome and great. I can't wait. So let's get into that college football season that just started started 2 weekends ago, but the main weekend was this weekend. And
we'll get to Florida State in a minute.
Oh, it was out. Oh yeah, it was outstanding. I had a wonderful college football weekend. How about yourself?
Yeah, so I watched Florida State, Georgia Tech, which again, we'll talk about Florida State in a minute. I watched I watched Georgia absolutely annihilate Clemson. Oof. And then I saw Roddy White, the former Atlanta Falcons wide receiver, go on Twitter and say that Clemson lost because they had too many white guys on the field. And you know what? Really made me laugh. But when you watch that game, you're like, I mean, the kinda, but I also tried to watch Penn State, West Virginia, but that game was one of the ones I was flipping around to. The 2 I wanted to talk about, Casino, we just alluded to it.
We're going to talk about 3. Just saying.
So I want to, let's put LSU and USC in its own category, Florida State in its own category, and then right here, the only other one I want to talk about, I know you want to talk about UNLV.
Well, also I want to talk about Notre Dame, and that one I can wrap up quick too. So
I did watch that game too. But the one game that I watched that I was fascinated by was, did you watch any Oregon and Idaho?
I did.
Man, there was points in that game where I was like, is Oregon going to lose to Idaho? That would have been a Michigan.
Well, that's what I thought of. That's kind of what I thought about Texas A&M with the Notre Dame game. I was like, is Notre Dame going to lose to Texas A&M? Like,
yeah, but at least Texas A&M is in like a power conference. Fair. Like Idaho. That is, why am I blanking on that? What team did?
But Oregon's not block kick. But Oregon's not super hot this year. They're not going to be the best team this year.
No, but it's still Oregon, and they still are. I mean, they're now in the. I mean, all the stupid conference name changes. What are they in now?
I don't know. I'm not going to pay attention until everything settles.
Yeah, I don't understand the conferences now at all. I also don't understand why we don't have a North, East, South, and West conference, and then just break all the teams in those 2 things.
They might start doing that with the college football playoffs. But anyway, all right. So let's get to your first. Yeah. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, also Oregon is ranked number 3 in the nation. So they're still.
Okay. Sorry, my bad. This was showing that they weren't.
Yeah. They're still ranked, but then again, I hate how we just rank teams before the season even starts.
They were 3, and now it looks like they're 7th is what it's showing.
I mean,
They dropped.
deservedly so. They did
They
nothing
dropped.
in that game to make them move up or stay. The only possible thing they could have done is move down.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, as I'm looking at this, they do not have a number next to their name against the Idaho game, but everything else, even the preseason, they were ranked. So this is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I would say, though, after watching this weekend, I think Texas and Georgia are my two favorites. And then I kind of like Notre Dame and maybe USC. That USC team looked really damn good.
they did.
But go on with what you want to mention, Casino, before we move on to LSU.
About
UNLV.
Oh, I mean, well, first let's talk about Notre Dame and Texas A&M.
Oh, there you go.
So it came down to the wire. Notre Dame was able to get a late touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then they did end up getting another 3 points on top of that. So that 23-13 victory over Texas A&M, it is not really what you think it was. It was a very close game. And with Notre Dame beating Texas A&M, they don't really have much of a. They do have USC, but they don't have much of a hard schedule. They're going to probably be favored in every single game from here on out. So I mean, yes, they have some Louisville and Georgia Tech who are currently ranked, but I don't expect either one of those two teams to stay super high up. Their last game of the season, November 30th, is against USC, but they're probably going to be favored in every single game from here on out. So they're probably just a shoe-in and a walk-in for that playoff spot already, especially not being a part of a conference and just being, the floating whatever they are. So, I mean, Notre Dame after that win, I think they've pretty much solidified themselves in the college football playoffs, because even if they lose 2 games, whether they lose to Louisville, Georgia Tech, say they lose one of those 2 games and then they lose against USC, those are decent teams. They're going to make the college football playoffs. So like they're in. But I can't believe they almost lost that game. So then moving on to what I'm wearing right here. What's up? Yeah, I got this apple for you because I knew you were going to ask for it.
And then, looking forward to next week. I really like what I saw out of Texas. I really liked what I saw out of Michigan, and they're the game of the week in week 2, like Texas at Michigan. That's going to be an insane game.
And so anyway, so what I was going to get about UNLV and why I'm decked out. Obviously, I'm an alumni. I love my school. I love UNLV. Born and raised here in Vegas, but they handled Houston in Houston, which Houston's not going to be the greatest team this year, but they are a recognizable name in college football. On the road to start the season, and outside of, I think Houston scored with like 2 minutes left to go in the game. UNLV dominated that game. And last season, UNLV was flirting with the top 25 for the majority of the season. Towards the end of the year, they lost 3 games. They lost their conference championship against Boise. So they had their chances, but they burn out towards the end of the season. One thing that they really, really needed to focus on was their secondary, and they had so many transfers coming in. The defense was outstanding. There was a pick 6 in that game. They almost held Houston to like 40. It was like 40 yards. I don't remember what the stats were, but like 40 yards in the first half. It was insane. So there's a lot of analysts out there that have UNLV making the final spot for the college playoffs.
That'd be
like interchanging out with like Boise State as a possibility, or like NC State, one of those fringe top 25 teams. But UNLV, just people talking about UNLV and having the possibility of making the college playoffs with 2 returning All-American players with Ricky White and De Jesus. So like, I'm really excited about UNLV this season, more so than last year, which was their first 10-win season in like 40 years in my lifetime. So I'm really excited that that's a possibility. So week 3, big game. A lot of people will be watching this because they're going up against Kansas in Kansas, who's currently now ranked 19th. This is a repeat of last year's bowl game, which Kansas won by a couple scores, but UNLV being in a bowl game for the first time in a good while really showed a lot of fight with their first year new coach. So I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for that. What am I? Repeat
Rematch.
game. Yeah, rematch. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
We
And
gotta
if
go. We gotta go
UNLV
to
can,
one of these games.
yeah, if UNLV can beat Kansas in week 3, and they should win their next game at home. It's against Utah Tech. They're supposed to blow them out of the water this weekend for their home game. But if they can beat Kansas in Kansas, and they start their season 3-0, one against Houston on the road and one against Kansas on the road, the media, I can't wait. So I'm really excited for that. Go UNLV. College football's back. I love it. So let's talk about, we got 2 more games that we want to talk about. Are we going to go LSU, USC? Perfect. Thank you
Yes.
for having that loaded.
You're welcome. So USC at LSU was the Sunday night marquee game. I also really like what college football did this year, where it was like you had the marquee Thursday game, marquee Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they did a Monday night game as well. So
Like
they
I
should
said, I
always
was
do that. It
I
was
was
great.
excited for this year's college football layout. I'm
Yeah.
very excited about college football this year.
So LSU won against USC in Allegiant Stadium in our hometown of Las Vegas, where we're recording.
We were
right
busy
now.
at our bar. Ooh,
Yeah.
were we? Before and after the game.
So they won 27-20. The controversy coming out of this game is basically what led to LSU going with winning with the go-ahead score was a late targeting penalty that put LSU in range so they can just run the ball right in. USC tries to come back. Guy throws an interception last play of the game, ends the game. So first, everybody loves controversy, Casino. Was it the right call?
Was that the one where he caught it in the end zone and got blasted?
This was the guy who caught it. The LSU receiver caught it in the end zone, and the USC guy hit his helmet with his head. Like within the last minute of the game.
Yeah, I thought that's what I'm talking about, right? Anyway.
It wasn't in the end zone though.
Oh, then maybe I missed that one. I was working. So let me look that one up real quick. But there was another targeting in that game which hit helmet to helmet. So maybe.
Well, I'll tell you what, the thing with USC the past couple years is last year when it was Caleb Williams, it was just like all there is Caleb Williams. We have nothing else. So if he doesn't win us the game, we lose, right? And there were some games where he just played hero ball and you were like, they won solely because of him. But the issue with USC since Pete Carroll left and since
I did see that. I did see that one, and I agree. He led with the helmet. I know he had tried to have his shoulder down, but
he clearly launched himself. It was helmet to helmet.
He launched. Yep,
that's going to get called 100 out of 100.
I did see that one. Yeah, you launched yourself towards them. You tried to lean with the shoulder, but you did make contact, helmet to helmet. They are cracking down on that. I mean, hell, in the UNLV game I watched, one of the UNLV players didn't mean to inadvert, like helmet to helmet. He got ejected. You're going to see that so much this season. They are going to eject a lot of people for helmet to helmet contact. But hell of a catch, by the way. Like one-handed. There was a lot of great catches. I don't know if he was the one that did it earlier too, but it's in my opinion up there for one of the greatest football catches of the season already, and like will be by the end of the year.
Like
it was
the
a one-handed double coverage catch
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like with double coverage, like outstanding.
Do you
yes, under? I do think that was targeting.
Over under 5 years where everybody's wearing a Guardian cap. Over under 5 years, because I think at this rate it's going to be under. I think you already have players saying they're going to wear it in games. I think it's going to be mandatory the next 3 years, especially if they do have evidence that it protects like your head. 100% that's going to be in. Yeah. Anyway, but
great game. It was wild.
Yeah. The point I was making was with all the USC teams since the Pete Carroll era, the thing that you would always hear is USC is West Coast soft. They can't play in the SEC because they don't hit. And in this USC game, some of the safety hits that they were getting on the LSU running back were fucking brutal. Well, I mean they were just getting leveled.
That's been the talk forever is like the West Coast teams can hang with, the East Coast or the Southeast teams. Like bullshit. Get it out of your head. Like I hate that. Like, that's just homers being homers. They're not really understanding. And I'm so glad this playoff is in effect, because I guarantee you there's going to be some upsets. I guarantee you, because there's going to be some of those teams like in the SEC and whatnot that'll be like, we are the best. We are the best. We don't have to worry about it. And then they are going to get, there's going to be like one play that rattles them, and they're going to choke up and seize up. And the West Coast team or the Midwest team, whoever it's going to be, they're going to take advantage of that. I guarantee. I can't wait for the playoffs. But he's going to do it.
But this was a great game. And then my favorite thing of the game was the clip I sent you, Casino, of Brian Kelly at the press conference afterwards. I've never seen a less authentic person in my life, like trying to fake that he's mad. And the shit he was saying, first off, it sounded like bullshit. It's weird when a college coach starts blaming the players. And then it's like, LSU was really good before you became the coach there, right? Like, they are a really good franchise who has won a bunch of national titles.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get into it today. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, man.
But him just being at the press conference, being like, "Man, I'm so mad. I'm so angry," and like pounding the desk, and it's just like you could tell everybody in the room was like, "Oh, okay, so." Like, what does that mean? Like, who cares if you're mad? You lost. And also, that entire third quarter, your team was outplayed, like, on every facet of the field. They lost because the third quarter, LSU was just like, let's take the third quarter off, and then we'll come back at the fourth quarter. And then turns out they didn't do anything else in the fourth quarter. It was just,
moving on.
But that was a great game. The other team, Casino, we need to talk about is Florida State, and it says it right there. They are in a free fall because I saw this morning.
They're fucked.
For the first time since 2008, a top 10 AP preseason team has dropped out of the top 25 entirely after week 2. So they were top 10 going into last night's game. They lose to Boston State, and then not only lose, get embarrassed 28-13 against Boston College. And then in week 0, which was a weird thing, I don't like that.
I don't get it.
Florida State lost 24-21 against Georgia Tech. Both those losses make Florida State 0-2, falling from a top 10 preseason team to now completely out of the top 25.
And not just that, I think that puts them completely out of the college playoffs.
Oh, 100%.
They lost against 2 bad teams. I mean, go Boston College. Whoop, whoop. I know I'm from Vegas, but the ties to Boston, as you guys all know. So whoop, whoop, go Boston College. Hell yeah, that was awesome. They were outworked. Like, I saw the highlights of that game. They were outworked. Like, it was a joy to watch.
Yeah,
it was a joy to
watching that game, there was never a second you thought Florida State was the better team.
And so their chances of making the playoffs this year, they're gone. In my opinion, gone. They 100%. Start the season next year against Bama, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
they're screwed next year. Like this. Oh, dude. If you're a fan of them, Florida State, you just go hide. Just go hide in your Florida swamp or whatever it is, and just hide away.
Yeah, especially when they finished the season last year. If you remember, they were the 6th ranked team in the nation, and they got annihilated in the Orange Bowl, 63-3 against Georgia. So, I mean, also their schedule, there's no gimmies now at this point. They play Notre Dame, they play Miami, who had a great week. They play Clemson, who they just got killed by Georgia, but what I still think Clemson is capable of killing Florida State with the performance Florida State's put on. They play SMU, which has a good offense. I mean, this is going to be, I think if you're a Florida State fan, this is going to be a rough year. But Casino, anything else on college?